Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vago Muradian here at the Excel Center in London to cover this 20th anniversary edition of DSEI, one of the world's truly great defense and security exhibitions. Our coverage here is sponsored by L3Harris and Leonardo DRS, and we are partnered with Clarion Events, the organizer of this great exhibition and many others around the world, and we're working with the UK Department of International Trade's Defense and Security Organization to bring you the very best of British defense and security. And we're here on the L3Harris stand to talk to retired United States Air Force Lieutenant General C.R. Davis, distinguished program manager, one of the fathers of the F-35 program. So you've got to be pretty proud of that it's finally grown up, CR.
It's doing good. It's doing well. It's good to see it out there. It's good to see it expanding its mission capability, being used in real world scenarios. So yeah, it does feel good.
It's I know that you were working the program very, very hard along with a lot of other folks at the time to make sure it's a success that it is today. You are the international boss here at L3, the new L3Harris, your very, very first international trade show. Thanks very much for the support. We appreciate it. So talk to us a little bit about the merger. This is 2 months now, 2 months in. Everybody's kind of figuring out the new roles. Talk to us about how that process is going, how you guys are reworking your processes, your approach, and your strategy to make a success of what is one of the largest mergers we've seen in a long time.
Yeah. Well, it's been interesting to see because I've now seen the merger on two levels. First of all, till we got together at this show, we were working to integrate the systems, the IT, the HR, the FMs, to be able to get the two companies to work together. And that's a very painful, long, and arduous process. It'll take well into next year. But when we got to the show this year, we saw two different teams from two different companies get together, be thrown in the, if you will, the arena on day one, and have to start working together, partnering together, sharing thoughts. And it's just been absolutely phenomenal to see the Harris and L3 teams come together to be able to present the capabilities of L3Harris at this show. So the merger at the grassroots level is here, and they're almost seamlessly working across the companies. All of the admin and the process and everything to run the two large companies, now an $18 billion company, the sixth largest defense prime in the United States. All of that required to do that is going to take some time and some work. So I'm actually glad that I'm away from the corporate thrash of that for a while and get to be here with the teams that are putting stuff in the field and delivering capability.
Yeah, it's always great to be at these shows, in part for what you can see, but also all the new stuff that everybody rolls out. Talk to us a little bit about what we're seeing on the stand. I mean, again, it's the first time it's integrated in terms of the Harris portfolio and the L3 portfolio. You guys span the gamut from the piece parts stuff all the way up to the large finished systems. You guys did have to do a divestiture on some of the night vision stuff that Elbit ended up buying, which ended up winning a pretty big contract. So I think Renan Horowitz is pretty happy with that. But talk to us a little bit about what you guys are showcasing here and what it tells the world about the kind of strategy you guys have for global growth.
Well, what we've done when we brought the two companies together is we brought some very good, if you will, individual products together. They were being sold on a worldwide basis quite profitably at the individual product level in many cases. What we're able to do here is show how not only the products that we brought from Harris or some of the system integration activities we brought from L3, but put it together here. As I walk around this booth and look at what we have, there is almost nothing that we can't knit together to provide a complete mission system solution for anything on the land, sea, air. And it's amazing we can do it all the way from, if you will, we've joked in some cases, the old phrase we used in L3 was Pluto to plankton. We were able to provide situational awareness in every step of that chain, all the way from the platform, through the systems that processed it on the platform, to the data links that provided it to the Air Operations Center, to the communications networks that provided it to soldiers, sailors, and airmen on the ground. In any country, I mean, we're proud to be here in the UK. We have 2,000 people that we employ here in 18 locations. So what we're able to do here is bring our legacy Harris teams, legacy L3 teams together, be able to put an entire system together. For instance, these robots that you see here on there were originally thought of being, we'll use these for explosive ordnance disposal. Today, two of the teams here have talked about how they can take one of these robots and turn it into basically a roving unmanned EW platform for the ground forces and change the mission of it totally, in which basically this thought process occurred here within the few days of this show. So as the teams get together, they look at it, well, if I take your thing and put it with my thing, I've got three things here that I didn't think about. And so the interesting part of it for me is we've been known, Legacy Harris has been known largely as a communications company with very exquisite tactical radios. Legacy L3 brought some software networks. They're able to knit those radio systems together in almost a seamless fashion and provide a pure situational display of what's going on in the communications world for any system. And you can see that on some of our displays here. So we call it actionable intelligence, spectrum superiority, warfighter effectiveness. It really is a 1 + 1 = 4 or 5. It goes beyond the 3 thing.
Right, I mean, the Harris side of the company obviously is also home to the ITT communications capability, which was very, very formidable as well. Talking about innovation, right? L3 has prided itself on Project Liberty, for example. Mike Strianes used to love talking about that program, about bringing the capabilities of the company, focusing it very, very quickly and applying it to an urgent need and getting it fielded very quickly. You've worked innovation throughout your career. What's the right balance to get? Everybody is asking for innovation around the world, right? Every single presentation we've heard here from Sir Nick Carter, the Chief of Defense Staff, on down to Tony Ratican, the First Sea Lord, who we had an opportunity, we talked to both of them. Talk to us a little bit about getting that cycle right, because industry can't just make willy-nilly sort of investments in some of the stuff. Everybody is asking for industry to make that innovative investment. On the other hand, there are unique requirements that go with some of these military systems. Talk to us about sort of the balance, the thinking, the strategy you guys have to ensure that it's not misguided innovation, it's not sort of misguided effort, that it's actually focused on delivering the kind of effect the customer wants in a way that actually makes sense in a business case for you guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, you really have to be intimate with the customer. You have to understand what they're looking for, you have to understand what they need. You're just not out inventing things to invent things for the fun of it. So what we've tried to do here at L3 Harris is look and see what the next thing that's needed out there. And what we have today that potentially could meet that need if it was integrated, modified, or basically joined with some of the other stuff we do to produce an entirely new capability. I referenced the robot, I referenced some of our communication software. We're working all the way from the, if you will, the left end of the development spectrum in some areas to help the Missile Defense Agency with potential hypersonic weapons defense. I mean, it is the most cutting edge type of activity you could ever imagine. All the way down to, as you referenced, Project Liberty, which is how you take things that you've done really well and use them in an entirely different fashion to produce an effect that somebody's not thought of. And that really is what this floor here is exhibiting. In other words, we can take the most exquisite comms, put them on the most exquisite platform, and use them in a different way to get different type of information to a different user in a different time scale, if you will, and produce a whole different effect on the battlefield. That's why we talk about warfighter effectiveness as one of our keys. So the innovation that's occurring, and it's really occurring at the team level, that's kind of what I was talking about. It's exciting to watch these guys get together and say, hey, you do this, I've got a little bit of this. Let's get together and talk about what this could do if we did this. And invention is happening on our display floor here just between the teams that are coming together to talk about their products. So it's all the way from the really high level physics in one area down to just a couple of guys that have been operators in one area get together and say, hey, we can go do this. And it's just been amazing to watch.
What do you think going to be the most important sectors for you guys? As you look at that international opportunities around the world, are there any particular markets you see as stronger than others? And where are you going to be focusing your efforts? Is it on the, I mean, we understand, on the comm side, or certainly on the unmanned, where you guys do have a portfolio as well. But as you look at the global strategic plan for growth, where do you think you're going to see that growth? And is there a percentage number you want to put against it that, hey, in 5 years, I don't want you to say anything to Bill that you can't support at the end of the day, because I think he's among the most demanding CEOs in the business. I think actually both of the company leaders Chris and Bill have a reputation for being demanding leaders. Where do you think that growth trajectory is going to be?
Yeah. So when we put the two companies together, about 23% of our revenue comes internationally. It's $3.7, $3.8 billion. And I got to tell you that both of those gentlemen you mentioned will tell you, well, that's a nice number, but that's not what it should be. Now, what it should be is going to be one of the things we're trying to go through as part of this merger process, to look at our strategy for international operations. That's why Legacy L3 stood up L3 International, and then L3 Harris continued it at the corporate level for an international organization to be able to look across the spectrums, to be able to look across the activities and see where we should be. And being a long-time aircraft program manager and flight test guy, I would like to say it's going to be in the aircraft side, but what I'm really seeing is, if you look at some of the things we have here, the land capabilities and the maritime capabilities, you go out to that dock, you see a range of things. You see ships that have complete integrated power management systems from L3 EW systems from the legacy Harris, communication system from both companies, and basically we're out there providing almost a complete mission system, short of the weapons, for ship programs. And we have some very interesting ship programs both in Canada and Australia that are bringing those products together. So if I look where maybe we need to work a little bit harder to grow that international revenue, certainly in the maritime world because we have that capability, and then some entirely new capabilities in the land forces is going to be kind of interesting. One thing you don't see on display here, you've heard that L3 Harris has been lucky enough to be one of the competitors selected for the FARA, the Future Attack Reconnaissance Aircraft. We're into a helicopter world that we've not been in before. So we really are moving on from what was Project Liberty or the rivet joints which we've done or the air seekers that we do at the UK. All are going to be viable and going to be there for a long time. But we're into worlds that you don't necessarily expect to hear the L3 Harris name mentioned. Frigates, ships, helicopters, and things like that.
And you guys have also a really neat unmanned surface ship demonstrator. Is that going to be a field where we're going to see, for example, we've seen Leidos get into that, a name that I think many people would not have expected to associate with a large unmanned surface ship. Is that a market that you guys are also targeting for growth?
Yeah, but it's going to be the right part of that market. You walk around this hall, you're going to see, I don't know, I've seen at least 10 or 15, quote, unmanned vehicles that are going to drive on the surface of the sea or something. What we're trying to do is do some very special things with the software capabilities, and this is another area of innovation you asked about what can I do with software to be able to make an unmanned surface vessel or undersea vehicle more effective. And again, it's not just to go build something out there to go float along the sea all by itself. It's how do I create a mission effectiveness capability using that. And the guys that are working that, the guys that are on display, we've looked at things about how we integrate team surface and subsurface unmanned vehicles to do coastal defense, to do reconnaissance, to be the rest of that kill chain that we talked about that runs all the way from the bottom of the ocean up to the platform up there down to the Air Operations Center. So you can put surface unmanned vehicles with unmanned surface vehicles, make them a reconnaissance team to get all kinds of unique information up close and along the, if you will, the battlefields next to the water and see what's going on past that back. So that is where we really see it, trying to use the unmanned maritime world for a mission effect, and do it for some very interesting customers that have some very demanding requirements for that. And we're known for the signals intelligence and the communications intelligence of our rivet joint air seeker fleet. If you can put it on an airplane, you can put it underwater, you can put it on water, you can put it anywhere you want to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's all about how you differently think about the platform. Let me ask you about ITAR free. The number of, and that's the International Traffic in Arms Regulation, the United States effectively, if there are any American components in any finished system that's supplied, the United States has not only export approval, but re-export approval in that. And increasingly, for national sovereignty reasons, virtually, every company is beginning to develop a clone of that system that may be in U.S. military service that includes ITAR-free componentry, because that's what the market is increasingly demanding. Talk to us about how you're addressing that particular part of this. I'm leaving the politics outside it, but at the end of the day, folks want that capability from American suppliers, but want to do it in a way that is ITAR-free, that doesn't have, for, some nations feel will restrict their sovereignty, will restrict their ability to use some of these systems in the future, hence try to cut the United States out of it.
Yeah, I will tell you, having traveling to a lot of our customers in this position, we hear quite often that, well, if the United States can't provide what I need, I'll go find another source. And the sources out there that are probably using what they acquired from us or others to produce a system out there that's available on the world market that maybe we can't provide in the same way. So yeah, you're right about the politics continue to need to be addressed about what's going to be released and not, and to who. However, like you said, certain things need to be protected, and we'll continue to do that absolutely within the United States technology. But some of our divisions have already been working that issue for some time. L3 Harris WESCAM, which does some of the most exquisite EOIR sensors in the world, has been producing ITAR-free items out of the Canadian locations for some time. And basically we have developed quite a customer base around the world for WESCAM systems, simply because we've been able to provide something that meets every one of their needs, but protects the ITAR issue that we're concerned about in the United States. We're looking at that for obviously the radios. Some of our software activities that integrate the radios produced here in the UK already are being produced under ITAR-free restrictions. We're using some of that software today to talk to some very challenging customers across the world, Middle East, Europe, and beyond, because of the challenges they're facing in those particular areas. So it's going to be up to us to continue to figure out how we can best do that. If we can use the U.S. systems and we can get them properly exported, it's going to be great. When we need to go quicker, we need to go faster, or produce something that's just almost as good, we can certainly do that. And I will tell you, we're seeing that most of the things that we produce, in fact, some of the software that we produce in the UK is got a lot of applications in U.S. systems, and it's an ITAR-free thing. So we have capabilities in the ITAR-free world that's at least as good as everything in the ITAR world, and it's making us more competitive in some of these really challenging countries that are our partners.
And you guys, you didn't mention, but you mentioned software, but you guys also have very, very robust cyber capabilities as well that you build into some, whether on the standalone side of things or building it into systems. So I've seen you cruising the show, checking out a lot of stands. This is a good place to both strike partnerships, but also find potential businesses you want to acquire at the end of the day to fill out a portfolio, particularly of a very big company that has global, a more global ambition than it already has. What's the role of M&A? What's the role of partnership? And in what areas do you want to see yourself get stronger on those global markets?
So I will let our CEO and COO talk about the mergers and acquisitions they have planned. I'll tell you what I'm looking for when I'm here is try to figure out who the next partnership is going to be between L3Harris and whatever. We know that in most parts of the world today, without a partner that has some type of relationship with that region, we're not going, that 23% sales I mentioned is not going to expand unless we grow some partnerships with some of the great companies that are here. You see Rheinmetall, Kongsberg, Airbus, Saab, Thales. We're talking to everybody to see, we might can help you here if you could help us there. We have a capability you don't have, you have a capability we don't have, we put them together. We have a capability that somebody really wants in a region of the world that they don't have it today. So I see it as a role as, quote, corporate international. We're not out trying to do business development for our segments. We're not trying to make them find a pursuit. We're trying to make it easy for them to do business in any part of the world for any program. And that's going to start with the partnerships, not only with the countries that we work very vigorously at, but also with the international partners that exist in that part of the world. So that's what I'm looking. I'm trying to figure out who's got what that we may could couple one of these great products with, and then go talk to country Y about this and do something we've not done.
United States Air Force Lieutenant General C.R. Davis, who is the Executive Vice President for International Business Development at L3Harris. Sir, thanks very much. Best of luck in the new organization. Logo looks good, and looks like the team is firing on all cylinders. Best of luck, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Look forward to it. It's been fun.